So these things can really hamper your life, and you may have one or more of them, as most of us do. And it's about just bringing awareness. And then later on, very shortly, I'll be telling you some practices to do that can help. So this is how we operate in the world. We don't realize it, but this internal thermostat sort of kicks in and up depending upon what we're doing. And if you are a growth mindset person, a growth orientated person that really wants to live the rest of their life as the best of their life, you will have these thermostats kicking in like an old boiler from the 1920s, right? Because these things kick in only when you're about to grow. So if you have these things and these stuck feelings, give yourself a pat on the back, first of all, because that means you're growing and you're actually doing something in the world. Okay. So if that's the way we're operating with this thermostat going up and down, Gay Hendricks classifies this as 4 zones of operation. So the first one is the zone of incompetence. Okay. The second one is the zone of competence. The third zone is the zone of excellence. And the ultimate freedom zone is the zone of genius. So I think they're fairly self explanatory, but I'll just give a quick explanation. So the zone of incompetence is just that you're doing something that you really don't like and the results are not good. Okay. The zone of competence is you're doing an average job and getting average results, but you're still not, jazzed up or fulfilled by it. The zone of excellence is when you're producing really high skills and high execution and really great quality, but you're not really fulfilled. You're not in the pocket, you're great at it, but it's not hitting into the heart and soul. Okay. And then the zone of genius is the combination of your unique talents, gifts, and skills. So you've taken all those gifts and skills from the zone of excellence, but you've now up leveled it and amplified it because it's done in the way you do it, in the unique gifts that you have to it, and in that unique process that you do it in. Okay, so that's kind of the ultimate freedom and fulfillment. And this doesn't apply to just work, it can be your zone of genius in relationships, in health towards your body, in business, etc. Okay, so these zones are not life area specific, they are a way of being in the world. Okay. So we've got the zone of incompetence, the zone of competence, the zone of excellence, and the zone of genius. And most of us are operating, well, I hope, in the zone of excellence. So, we get the accolades, we're the go to person, etc., etc. But the kind of scary and frustrating thing about it is that still inside us, we're like, oh, thank you so much for that. That's great. I'm glad I was helpful, da da da. But there's still that shadow inside the heart that goes, yeah, but you're not there yet. Like you're great, but you're aching for something else. Okay. And that's why a lot of really great people leave different jobs, right? Either start their own businesses or regardless, people are left scratching their heads saying, why are you leaving? You're like, you're one of the best here, if not the best. And you're like, it's hard to explain to people why excellence is not good enough. Okay. So we all want to go to the zone of genius, and we're not always operating in the zone of genius. If we're lucky, we get to inhabit that zone for a reasonable period of time, but time and life always goes in cycles as well. Okay. So it's not like utopia and nirvana. It's just trying to be as expansive in our genius as possible, because not only are we feeling really abundant and really in the zone and really creative and powerful and sovereign, we also are producing work that's off the charts that benefits other people. So that's why the zone of genius is desirable, not just for our own selves, but for the world. Okay. All right. So if we want to operate in the zone of genius and we want to be aware of what our upper limit is and those 4 barriers, here's some practical steps and strategies. Okay. So the first one that Gay Hendricks mentions in his book, The Big Leap, is change your attitudes towards time. So he calls it Einstein time. So instead of saying, I don't have time, Gay Hendricks says, try to say, I didn't choose to do that, or it's not a priority. Because one of the things that the upper limits and the self sabotaging behaviors have in common is that there's always excuses. And one of them is, oh, I didn't have time to exercise. I didn't have time to finish that presentation. I didn't have time to, research that business I was going to start. And really, that's not true, because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and yet some people can really get a lot done and really good quality stuff. So it's not that we don't have time, it's that we have excuses. And one of them is time. Okay. So change your mindset towards time, realize that you've got the same time as everyone else, and take responsibility for that and say, I didn't prioritize that. And that's okay. But it starts to shift you out of that sabotage of victimhood into one of choice. Okay. All right. So it's subtle, but it's really important. So for 1 week, try and notice every time you say, I don't have time. Okay. And then rephrase it. I didn't prioritize that. I'm choosing not to do that today, whatever it is, but it's a proactive, responsible language rather than, I didn't have time. Okay, appreciation. So, one of the other things that happens with our self sabotaging behavior and procrastination and anxiety and worry is fear. Okay, and fear, we're fearing that we're not going to make it on time, or that the quality is not going to be good, whatever it is. So, one way that you can shunt your brain out of that practice is to spend time being grateful. So, instead of saying, I've run out of time, or that presentation's going to be horrible, think of 3 things that you can be grateful for in the moment. So it might be, I can ask my team member to help me with my presentation. I'm so grateful for that. I can go home and I've got like 4 or 5 hours of uninterrupted time to work on the presentation. I'm so grateful for that. I can also get a rain check from my boss because I was a little bit sick this week. I'll email and they're very understanding, so I'm sure I can get more time. And I'm really happy that I've got an understanding boss. Okay. So we're shunting out the negative, because negativity attracts similar negative thoughts and we loop. Okay. So the appreciation practice is number 2. Number 3 that Gay Hendricks mentions is understand whether you're committed or interested. Okay. So we often fool ourselves to say, we mix up those 2 words. So there's a distinction: commitment versus interest. If you're committed to your health, whether you have to get up an hour earlier, you'll do it. If you're interested in improving your health, you may or may not do it. So commitment is a decision and a covenant that you make with your own self. And generally, come hell or high water, it will be done. Okay. And we often find that our commitment to other people far surpasses our own. So, say, for example, you want to go to the gym. If you're interested in going to the gym, you'll go some days, you won't go others. If you're committed to going to the gym, especially if you're meeting your friend at the gym, even if you don't feel like it, you will go. So have a think about and ask the question, are you interested in whatever the stuck point is in your life and to reach that zone of genius, or are you committed? And it's okay to say, oh, look, I'm only interested, because that takes the pressure off, right? But if you are committed, then, you know, the graveyard of excuses is not somewhere you want to live. Okay. So just ask yourself, are you committed or are you interested? And that's okay, whichever answer comes up, because you're being honest with yourself. And if it's, I'm just interested, then say, that's okay. I may do it, I may not. Okay. But at least you're honest. So have a think about that. So the appreciation practice, commitment versus interest, and shifting your mindset about time are three practical strategies. Now, moving forward, these are daily suggestions. Track your energy levels throughout the day and notice when they shift. Okay. So if you're more productive in the morning, get the important things done in the morning. Okay. Get the challenging things done when your energy is at its peak. And also realize and recognize when it starts to shrink. It could be around things that you really don't want to do. And that gives you insight into whether you really need to do them, whether you can delegate them or dump them. Document moments when you hold back or make excuses. So, again, if somebody says, well done on that lasagna, and you go, oh, it was too salty, just recognize that, like in the moment. So, oh, yep, there I did. I self sabotaged again, because recognizing it is the first step to changing it. And if you don't even recognize and aren't aware of it, there's no way you can change it despite your best intentions. Pay attention to the physical sensations, because oftentimes our bodies already start to feel tense, or we get the, clenching of the jaws, or however your body responds to stress. And generally, that's that internal thermostat about to pop off. Okay. So notice that. Notice patterns in your worrying about things and also the timing. And this is really important to do because we're thinking so many thoughts all the time. We can't catch them, right? Unless we're intending to. And one of the other things that can be really helpful is to have a journal and at the end of the day, kind of do a little summary, because then it's out of your head, create space, and it's onto the page. And you can be more objective and you can track it over time, okay? And notice patterns of behavior. And once you notice the patterns, then you can start to interrupt and dissolve the patterns and create small wins and without immediately creating problems. Okay. So when somebody compliments you, even if you self sabotage and you deflect, celebrate that little win and say, how nice was it to be complimented on the lasagna? Yes, I self sabotaged and deflected, but it was lovely to have the compliment, right? So, or if you get a task done at work, or you did stick to 3 days a week at the gym, celebrate the win, okay? Because it starts to move some of that negative spiral of the self-sabotaging behaviors into the more positive light and the more proactive, responsible, sovereign area of our life, okay? So the truth bomb that I want to share with you today, which I think you already know, is that only good things come from growth. Like anything that doesn't grow dies. So we want to be growing in all the areas that matter to us, okay? But the truth bomb of it is that growth requires friction or chaos. It's like a seed being planted into the ground. It has to break apart in order to become open and grow, okay? And it's the same with us. That's why you feel that tension. That's why we feel that discomfort, because we know we're not happy where we are, but we kind of are scared to go where we want to go, right? So whether you're in your zone of competence or excellence, we kind of all want to be in our zone of genius and to feel authentic and powerful, okay? But the journey from where we are to where we want to be requires growth, and growth is uncomfortable. Okay. And whilst I'm not advocating for you to take ridiculous risks, some risk is going to be involved, some vulnerability, some truth, and some work is required. But if you keep your eye firmly on the worth and the value of where you want to go, rather than on the fears and any of the things that could go wrong, we will get there. You just have to take one step at a time. And so hopefully those tips that I've given you will be helpful to you, as well as the understanding of where this is all coming from. And remember, it's a destination, right? It's a process, sorry, not a destination. Each day, if we improve by 1%, in 12 months, you won't know yourself. So I think we need to take these massive big risks and leaps, but really it comes down to being aware and being open and understanding that we will be uncomfortable, but that it will be okay, and to take small positive steps each and every day, and we'll get there. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you for hanging in with me when my brain is a little bit fuzzy today. But yeah, I recommend you to read The Big Leap. It's quite good. There's a lot more in it, but I wanted to take like the gold nuggets out. So self-sabotage, we all do it. The great news is it can be vastly improved. So I hope the tips and the understandings from this video have helped you. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm a baby channel at the moment, so any interaction of liking or commenting, subscribing or sharing will help the magic algorithm show this to people who actually want to hear it and watch it. So until next time, let's make the rest of our life the very best of our life. Bye for now.